Hi, everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and this week I have a special guest for New Mexico fans. Fernando Lovo, Vice President and Athletic Director for the University of New Mexico, has joined me, and I'm going to play that for you. If you enjoy getting this kind of content, please subscribe to my YouTube page. Costs you nothing, but it does help me out. Thanks, and enjoy the interview. Bye. Hi there, and welcome to Final Play Sports, everybody. My name is Pete Lubar, and today I'm excited to have with me Fernando Lovo, Vice President and Director of Athletics for the University of New Mexico. Fernando, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Appreciate you having me. I know this is long overdue. When we met, gosh, I don't know how many months ago that was in Vegas for the Mountain West. So I appreciate you following up and excited to be here with you this morning.
Great. Well, I've got a few questions that I think Lobo fans want to know. But first of all, I just want to sort of get your thoughts on being able to impact New Mexico's two biggest revenue sports in your first 7 months in the job.
Yeah, no, it was certainly a whirlwind. Been here, gosh, I think probably 8 months now. I think I've lost count, but yeah, I got here first, 4 or 5 days into the job. I had start a football search, and I joke I didn't even really know where my office was at the time, and that's the God's honest truth. I was still just trying to figure it out. So jumped right in. Obviously, Bronco did a great job last year, and wish him well at Utah State, but really happy and excited we're able to get Coach Eck. And he's been doing a great job so far. And then, the next biggest thing on the calendar was the legislative session here, which we jumped into that. And then there shortly after, we had a men's basketball search. So certainly not for the faint of heart, but that's why I took the job. I think pressure is a privilege. I always believe that. And so, the pressure that we faced to ensure that we kept Lobo athletics moving in the direction that we all wanted to be and capitalize on this momentum was certainly a privilege and an honor to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's really I, I I can't imagine you thought ever in your wildest dreams that you'd be doing two coaching searches in your first 7 months. I mean, that's just crazy. So
Yeah, no question. But it's as I said, I think it's wonderful. We get an opportunity to put our stamp on things early on and try to build on the momentum that we've seen. So super excited about that.
yeah, well, congratulations on that. Um, so let's talk about a couple things that are going on. UNM, you put out a statement that we're opting into the House settlement, and so there's tons of questions that come up with that. But the
Yep.
first one I want to ask is, if they can, if a school can contribute 20.5 million or whatever it is to pay athletes directly, how does that mechanism work? Is there benefits involved? Do you have to tax it? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a certainly has was a seismic shift when the House settlement was approved. Obviously, it had been discussed for quite some time, but starting I think it was approved on June 6th, and implementation started on July 1st. But really, for us, implementation started the moment I got here. We started putting a plan in place, and I was fortunate to be able to bring some of the things we were doing at the University of Texas with me. And I felt we were really, forward thinking there, and we were able to, kind of have a plan in place there that I was able to bring here and implement in different ways, but use the same format. And so, at a high level, obviously now we're allowed to enter into licensing agreements with our student athletes. What we're doing is, we're entering into agreement to use their NIL, their name, image, and likeness, and then with that, we're able to compensate them for the use of that NIL. And so, it's a unique setup, something that everybody's dealing with and having to implement since July 1. But the good thing, and what I can say is, we were prepared. We were ready to go. We hit the ground running, and we did a lot of the legwork in advance. And so, as we were having discussions with student athletes, both that were here and those that we were recruiting, we were able to speak to what we were going to do and what it's going to look like. And so, I thought we hit the ground running. I mean, July 1st came, we were ready. We were in a good spot, and sitting here in August, I can tell you that we're feeling really good about what we're doing. We're having to always look and evaluate. It's a moving target. Obviously, schools in the Power Four are going to share up to the $20.5 million cap. Schools at our level are not. We're not going to be at that cap, and so that obviously gives us a little bit more flexibility with some of the things we can do and being able to be nimble. And so overall, I think we're in a really, really good place, and I'm excited to keep growing it and using it to our advantage as a competitive advantage.
Oh, that's interesting. You'd say it as a competitive advantage because I would think if you had 21 million to spend at you were Texas, you would spend 21 million, and if you were competing for the same athlete, they could potentially throw more money at that athlete than say in New Mexico or any of the Mountain West teams.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, obviously the Power Four, that they're sharing up to the cap, have more resources. That's no secret. You can look up, what their budgets are compared to ours in the Group of Five level, but we don't use that as an excuse. Our coaches, their expectations are to win championships, and they're going to go recruit and develop their talent, and we're going to try like heck to retain that talent. I think this day and age retention's become even more important than recruitment. And that's something to say because think 10, 15 years ago, that just wasn't a topic. And so we're going to work really hard to try to retain our student athletes because our coaches do a great job recruiting them,
Yeah.
getting them here, developing them, and then we've got to retain them.
Yeah, as Lobo fan, we kind of watched Darren Dent and or Donovan Dent
Yeah.
and the other guy, Dampier.
Yeah.
Uh, that was sort of disheartening, but you kind of gotten to expect it in this day and age, I think. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
Yeah.
anyhow. So we've got the house settlement. We can spend some amount of money. UNM's not going to spend 20 million a year. UNM's going to spend, I don't know, 8 to 12, let's say. Um, how does that work now with what you used to have 505 SVF, Kurt's group,
Yeah.
and now you've created something called the Lobo Alliance, which is working with the Lobo Club and Kurt, and so sort of guide us through how that's all gonna piece together.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I mean, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about how we're in a great spot without the help of 505 SVF and Kurt Roth. I learned quickly when I got here that Kurt and his team and my team as well. Obviously, I wasn't here, but Jalen Dominguez on my team, who's my chief revenue officer, there was alignment from the get-go. They realized, 2 years ago that when NIL became a thing, that it could be an advantage for us here in Albuquerque. And so Kurt was really forward thinking and put a lot of his time and energy and effort behind it. And I'm just so appreciative of that. And so obviously, as things changed, as the house settlement was approved, we were now able to take that in-house, if you would, and we were able to now fundraise and talk about it as part of our Lobo Club, right? And so the Lobo Club is our fundraising arm, our 501c3. And part of the Lobo Club is the Lobo Alliance, right? That's our targeted philanthropic effort towards helping us, compete at the highest level. And so what the synergy you see between 505, the Lobo Club, and then the Lobo Alliance, which again is our philanthropic efforts towards NIL, that's exactly what it is. It's alignment. It's helping, capture those individuals that have been so helpful to us through our 505 Sports Venture Foundations, and now working with Kurt, right, bringing him with us to get those individuals to come and join us in the Lobo Club. Because now that we're able to take donations in-house, it makes it much easier for us to be able to articulate to our donors and to our fans, hey, I know you've been doing this for the last 18 to 24 months. You don't need to change. The only thing that needs to change is the mechanism that you're providing that support. And so we've tried to make sure, some places have, kicked their collective to the side and everything else. And, for us, 505 Sports Venture Foundation has equity in this community because it's synonymous with the success that we've had. And so by combining all of those under one umbrella and working together for the same goal, I think we're going to continue to allow ourselves to be at the cutting edge on this topic.
So if I kind of understood it correctly, funds that you donate to Lobo Club would go to help this Lobo Alliance. Funds you donate to SVF will go to Lobo Alliance, and Lobo Alliance will be the primary negotiating tool with the athlete from an NIL standpoint.
Yeah, so if and you can I put out a statement after the House settlement was approved, and in there it indicated that if you've donated to 505 in the past, that we are now asking you to donate to the Lobo Alliance to help our NIL efforts. And so 505's board and their entity, their LLC will still exist to help us in the community go and get the support right into the donations and the marketing and all of that that they've already done for the last 18 to 24 months. It's just now the mechanism of us to be able to fundraise and help our student athletes can now be internal, right? And that's what the House settlement has provided us the opportunity to do. So exactly that, right? We're leveraging the equity in the community that 505 has created, and now we can go speak to those individuals and those donors and say, hey, look, we're together, we're part of this, but if you choose to help us, here's how you do it. And so we've been very clear in that communication. I think it's been well received by our fans and our donors.
Okay, got it. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit. You went through the budget process with the government, and one of the things you got out of that was, I think, 12.5 million for facility upgrades. And I think 1.5 million was for the tennis courts, and I think the rest, or tennis complex, whatever, and the rest was for, I think, Lobo football. So tell us what you're planning with $11 million for Lobo football.
Yeah. Well, I think number one, before I even talk about what we would do, we wouldn't be able to do any of it if it wasn't for the great support of our state, our governor, our state legislature. I mean, it's just, I can't thank them enough. To have the opportunity to spend 60 days with them in Santa Fe and really talk about, Lobo athletics and the impact that it has on this community, on this great state, was an honor for me to be able to do that. But to have it, I think have them understand how important it is was something that I was really fortunate that I think was able to get through. And so, as you mentioned, we were able to receive some capital outlay funds, one to repair some issues we had at our tennis courts. But the big one was for University Stadium, and I don't think it's a secret to anybody that if we want to continue to grow and we want to see the trajectory of our department continue to ascend like it is right now, we need to look at all things related to football. Obviously, our success on the field needs to improve, and that's been something that we've been really focused on. And a lot of times, investment directly correlates to improvement to success. So we've been very strategic about that. But then you look at our infrastructure that supports our program. University Stadium, I think the bones of it are very good. I think there's a lot to build on, but the reality is it hasn't been touched in a number of years. And fans, the demands of fans have changed. It's easy to stay at home and watch the game from your couch, but that doesn't help us. It doesn't help. And I'm not even talking on the revenue side. I'm talking about fans and stands have a tangible impact on wins and losses. And so this is phase one of really looking at what improvements. It's two parts. One, we have to design a stadium of the future. What that looks like is to be determined. We've engaged with a number of different firms out there, and we're going to bring one on board here in the next couple of weeks, and really going to take a deep dive into what University Stadium can be and should be. And at the end of the day, the reality is we need to serve our fans better. We need to have better amenities in the stadium, our concession stands, our restroom facilities. There's no chairbacks in the stadium, and so we just have to provide better amenities to our fans, because I am fully confident that the product on the field we'll see it continue to ascend. And when we can make our stadium something that we're proud of, that's a landmark in this state, I think then you start to really see the flywheel turn. And so there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of suggestions, and I'm excited to take all of that in. I plan to solicit feedback from our fan base as to what they would want to see in a stadium of the future. And we're really going to take a serious look at that. And I'm hopeful that in the next, 2-3 years that we can see a transformation to that stadium. And there's a lot of interest, certainly from the state level, because they see this as a gathering place for the entire state of New Mexico, not just as a football stadium.
Yeah.
But there's also interest on the philanthropic side. I think a lot of individuals believe and understand that, we need an improved stadium to kind of help us solidify our trajectory. So excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to watch the Lobos play at Fort Collins last year, and the facility that CSU built is very impressive. Um, it was a brand new stadium, but I keep thinking, boy, you could almost put a new stadium where the parking lot is on the east side, and turn that into a parking lot and maybe start over. It'd probably be $100 million or more kind of project, but that's what CSU did, and they put that emphasis on football, and that was pretty clear.
Yeah. Yep. No, I think we've got to explore all options, whether it's a new stadium, a renovation, whatever it might be. I think that everything has to be on the table. And yeah,
Yeah.
there's great examples, recent ones. You said Colorado State, obviously San Diego State built a new stadium. So I'm excited to get the process going. I really am.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of football, it starts next week.
Yep.
Big game. I'm actually going up to Michigan, so I'm excited to
Awesome.
see the first game of Coach Eck. But one of the things that we've kind of bantered about on Lobo sites is how we drive more attendance. Football does drive the what's going on in college sports right now, and Lobos kind of missed the boat like 40 years ago. Um, and I've seen a couple things that you're doing, which are pretty cool, like getting kids involved and going to the games for free. Under 12, I mean, you start building Lobo fans for life as it happened for me. But what else can you do? How do you make that more like I've been to University of Texas, I've been to Iowa. The game day is an event, and the tailgating starts 6 hours early, and it's fun, and it's so much different than when you go to New Mexico and it's just sort of random acts of tailgating going on.
Yeah. Well, I think you used the term different, and that's how we have to think. We cannot operate the same that we always have. And then I'm not saying that it hasn't worked or there hasn't been good things. That couldn't be farther from the truth. There's been a ton of good things. We need to enhance those. But we're in a day and age now where we can't just assume individuals are going to get up and come to a game. We have to me, I look at it in three ways. And I learned this when I was at the University of Texas because we went through this when I first got there, and I saw the transformation to what it is now, and it happened over some years. And so to me, the first thing is you have to wake up right during the week or on a Friday or Saturday and say, you know what, let's go to a Lobo football game. That's number one. Number two is you got to get them out of their house to come to the stadium, right? So we have to activate the outside of the stadium. It can't just be, sure, people are going to do their own tailgates and other things. That's part of it, right? That's wonderful. But what are we doing? What are we offering to bring people to the stadium, right? And then step three is get them in the stadium. And so when you think of it that way, we've looked at it this year, and I think you've seen some of the stuff. We haven't released everything just yet, and we've got some more things going. But we've looked at inside the stadium. Obviously, you mentioned the Kids Free initiative. To me, when you're building the next generation of Lobo fans, as you mentioned, but we're also making it more accessible to families that maybe, have otherwise said, we can't afford to go, or there's a reason why we're trying to eliminate barriers to entry. Because if you do that, you're eliminating reasons why people say, or excuses, whatever it might be. Ah, gosh, you know what? We just can't make it. And then, oh, by the way, well, okay, we're making the tickets more affordable, but for us, we can't be charging $12 or $13 for a bottle of water and expect fans to want to come. And so we've done some fan-friendly, family-friendly pricing initiatives this year to try to make our events more accessible, more affordable, and try to capitalize on a new group of fans that may have otherwise chosen not to show up. And so we're doing some other things on the outside of the stadium that we'll announce here in the next couple of days in advance of our first game. And the other thing you said is, and I believe this at my core, and again, just so fortunate to have been around some of the best at the University of Texas to see them transform our game experience, right? It is not just a football game. It has to be a celebration. And
Yeah.
you have to be flexible and nimble, and it can't be so prescriptive in terms of your in-game scripting, right? You've got to capitalize on moments of momentum. You've got to engage the fans. We can't be doing PA read after PA read. That just doesn't work anymore, right? It's got to be a celebration. It's got to be an experience.
Yeah.
because people are going to want to come back if that's the case. And so we've studied that so much this offseason. My team has been so great, been so flexible, and I'm excited to see where we start, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to ask for feedback from our fans. We're going to pay very close attention to that because I think if we get that going in the right direction, I really can. I think the momentum will continue to grow. So I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds exciting. Um, got just maybe two more questions. One is just around the GM, Bo Davidson, I think is the name. Tell us kind of what he does on a day-to-day basis. Is he just doing football? Is he doing other sports? Give us a little sense of that.
Yeah, no, so Bo was a great addition, came from the University of Memphis, and he's working exclusively with football, which I think is, that was the model I saw when I was at the University of Texas, and I thought it worked really well for us there. And Bo knows ball. I mean, he's a coach. He's come up and through the ranks, and he's got a great eye for talent. And I know Coach Eck relies a lot on him for evaluating both our prospects and also our own roster. And he can help in some scouting of opponents and other things. And so he's done a really nice job. I mean, I think I saw a stat the other day. I didn't even realize this, but I think in the last 2 years we've had 125 new players on our football roster, right, over 2 years. And so you got to make sure you're hitting. You're not going to hit on everyone, but you got to make sure that you're hitting more than you're missing. And having someone that can focus solely on that and really, keep his eyes on that, both in the portal, in the high school ranks, and then also on our own team, I think it's a really good thing. And then obviously we have to deal with agents now. We're not just talking to parents anymore. Everybody's got an agent, and to expect a coach to, negotiate with agents through the process is just not realistic. It's not a good, use of their time when you should have somebody that can help. I spent a year in the NFL and I saw that mechanism with our general manager when I was there. And so Bo's been a great addition. And I think as we continue to build this program, I think he's really going to help us, get the type of individuals in our program that we want and that we can develop to become great players for us.
Yeah, I can definitely see the benefit of that. I know Texas Tech does that, and they have a ton of NIL money to work with, but
Yep.
nonetheless, they've got a full-time recruiter essentially.
Yep.
So,
For
yeah.
sure.
So, final question, and I know this kind of cuts to the core of Lobo Athletics. I think Lobo Athletics has done a reasonably good job with a relatively limited budget. And I think last year or this year, maybe it's $44 million a year, but that puts us near the bottom of the Mountain West. And, UNM's of like a $4 billion university. So why is it so tough to get to a competitive level of, say, 55, $60 million a year from the legislator? Is that who controls that budget, or is that done at President Stokes level?
Yeah. So when I first got here, I when I was able to take a bit of time, I really, took a deep dive into our financial position, and a couple of things. One, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, if you look at the last, 4 to 5 years, we've seen steady growth in our budget. A big part of that for us has been our basketball success. When the basketball program is performing well, obviously we sell more tickets, sponsorships go up, and so it's a multiplier effect. And so we're actually we finished last fiscal year, and this fiscal year we're closer to the $52 million range, and so we've gone up. About 20% since I got here in 8 months, and so there's a lot of different factors for that. But I think when you look holistically at our budget, there's a couple of things. Number one, you talk about the UNM enterprise and just the institution as a whole, and President Stokes. I can't be more appreciative of her and her understanding and belief that athletics is important to this institution, and she believes that at her core. It's part of the reason why I took this job, is I knew she felt that way. And ever since I've been here, around every corner, she's been nothing but supportive. And so obviously we need, that belief from the top down. And that starts with our Board of Regents and their understanding of where we are now and where we need to go. And I'm always very transparent about where we are in comparison to our peers, because I think most ADs would say this, right? The expectations, that we have do our resources match that? And in some areas I could say yes, in other areas I can say no, and that's my job to figure that out. And so, what we've been so thankful, and we've received much support from our president. And then you talk about our state. The state, I had the good fortune of I was in Las Cruces yesterday to be able to testify in front of the Legislative Finance Committee, and to have that opportunity is so important because the conversation it needs to happen now. And the reality is that, I said it yesterday that an investment in athletics is an investment into the economy. When the Lobos are playing well and the pit's full and people come into University Stadium and supporting our other sports, those are hotel rooms. Those are people going to restaurants. Those are people buying things in this community. And so, we need to continue to have those conversations, and we will with our state, because I think, as the flagship institution of this state, if they're willing to invest, at a level that, will help us, succeed and help us with our peers, amongst our peers, I think they'll see, and they've realized that investment is more than worth it. And so I said it before, but I'll say it again. I just couldn't be more appreciative and thankful of their help, of their support, and their understanding, and that allowing me to continue to have those conversations as it continues to progress. And then lastly, we've got to do our part. We had a record year fundraising last year. That's great. That's the new bar. And every time we got to raise that bar. And so, when it comes to naming right opportunities, we've got to be creative. We've got to think of things because every penny counts and everything matters. And so we're going to continue to, aggressively pursue revenue sources, uncover new ones, concerts in the stadium, everything else, everything is on the table, because for us to get to where we want to go and we know we can be, it's going to take more resources. And so I'm not shy, I'm not bashful about it. But to this point, since I've been here, we've received a lot of really great support. And I think from both our fans, our state, from our institution, our donors, everything else. And we'll keep pushing because that's what Lobo Nation deserves. And that's what I'm here to do.
Wow, fantastic. Well, really appreciate you coming on today. Very interesting. I wish you tremendous success as a Lobo fan, and really, it was great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I appreciate you. I'll see you in Ann Arbor. And hey, look, I've never lost in the big house. We were 1-0 at Texas and 2-0 when I was at Ohio State. So maybe let's try to make it 4-0. So,
Boy, that would be earth shattering.